This is the 1969 Cadillac DeVille Convertible I bought from my dad. And not to sugarcoat it, it's kind of a piece of shit now. And this is my 7.3 POWERSTROKE F350, and it's what I use to pick up all my cars. But it's had a bit of a troubled past.
Something's really messed up.
It has left me stranded a few times in the 2 years I've had it.
But tomorrow, I'm driving this truck with my 20-foot car trailer on a 900-mile journey. It's longest trip ever to go buy my dad another 1969 Cadillac convertible.
That's if it makes it there.
Some of you are probably asking, why on earth did I go buy my dad another Cadillac when I just got him one a few months ago and I've already been working on it? Let me explain and rewind a bit for those who missed it.
My dad. He's helped me with everything, every project, and has taught me so much.
I'm pretty deaf, but I overheard in a conversation him saying that he would love to have a 1969 Cadillac Coupe DeVille Convertible.
So over the next few months, I searched and searched for one, and there just weren't a lot out there. Either destroyed and unsavable, or restored to a T, a bit more than what I could afford. One popped up for sale 2 hours away. It looked decent on the outside, but it didn't run.
There was no starter in it, no front brakes. There were brake pads, but there were only two, and those were in the glove box.
And the body, like Kim K, has quite a lot of plastic.
Now, none of this, I really thought, was anything that I couldn't handle.
After messing with the fuel system, we got the engine running. But that was about the only positive I was finding to the whole car. The top was shot.
Why couldn't you have just bought me steak tips or something?
And when I pulled the carpets, the floor was rotten.
Now, I know a lot of you probably think I completely lost the plot. In fact, you already know I completely lost the plot. But sometimes you buy cars with your heart and not your head. And the more I worked on it, the more I realized this was not really what I was looking for to give to my dad. It's fine to tinker on some things, but this car needs so much more than I originally thought, and so much more money than I can give to it. The labor I can do, it's free, it's mine. It's the parts.
And as fate may have it, another Caddy popped up on Marketplace. An all-original car that was driven every weekend until the head gasket went bad, and the engine was pulled for a full rebuild. In other words, what this car requires is the only good thing I found to be left on the white Cadillac.
Which makes me kind of sad that the car that I was originally gonna save was gonna end up saving another car.
The owner and I talked on the phone for weeks so I could find out everything I could about the car before I made the decent trip to go get it. And then it was time. Time for the truck. It's been great lots of the time, but untrustworthy at others, to make the longest trek it ever has.
Alright, we are fueled up, and we are not shutting this truck off until we get to the place that I'm staying tonight, just as a safety. But our first stop on the trek is Harbor Freight, so I can get a hand winch, because this Caddy, as I said, also doesn't run. There's no engine in it.
With the trailer in tow, we began our conquest. Just under 450 miles, and without traffic, just over 6 hours. I arrived at Harbor Freight, and by habit, accidentally shut the truck off, but we should be all right. So I thought, and that's where this trek took a turn. I went into the candy store for adults and bought the winch.
Now I have my own.
Time to make our way to New York. But as I climbed in and turned the key,
You really can't make this stuff up, all right? Here we go. 7.3, about to leave its biggest road trip ever. Let those glow plugs do their thing. And
no crank and no start.
What the f?
So I made my way to the engine bay to take a look, where I found something that didn't look quite right. This is the relay or solenoid for the starter, and I don't think I'm supposed to see what's inside of it. This relay, sometimes called a solenoid, is an electromechanical switch that controls the flow of electricity between the battery and the starter motor itself. It takes signal from you turning the key to switch on the electricity from the battery to activate the starter. And it looks like it's the reason that I'm getting saved by my brother in his 6.7.
Most reliable pickup ever! Most reliable pickup ever!
He towed my trailer and me home, and after sitting, crying, and brainstorming, I went back up to the truck to try to jump the solenoid. This can be done by putting a screwdriver between the two posts on the relay, like in this video. Do this at your own risk, though. So imagine if these are the posts on the relay, you essentially take a screwdriver, touch those two posts together, and if your starter's good but your relay's bad, the truck should start. And in my case, I was somehow able to hold the relay together and touch the posts together. Somehow I didn't shock myself, and the truck cranked. But I left my doors open for too long and tried too many times that I killed the battery. So the most embarrassing part of the day was getting a jump start from my mummy in her BMW. So I found an O'Reilly's, grabbed the relay, and went straight home and got to work, so I could make sure I get this truck fixed and get out to New York to buy this Caddy before someone else swoops in. And as I learned in a shocking revelation when changing the starter on the C5, we're gonna disconnect the battery first. And in the Ford's case, batteries. Next, I can disconnect the wires going from the relay to the battery and starter motor, and the two bolts that hold the relay to the fender. And then she's out. This little thing is the culprit. At least it's not the hardest thing in the world to change. Here's our new Motorcraft one. Looks just about the same. Perfect. Let's throw it in. Thankfully, not that expensive either. Only around 35 bucks. Now we are bolting it back to the fender with the two bolts and reattaching the cables to the starter and battery. Just like that, she's in. But before I reconnect our battery cables, I'm going to clean up the posts on the battery and cables with a wire brush to make sure there's no corrosion on there and ensure we've got strong connections. We don't need any more issues on this trip. New solenoids in. Both battery cables are cleaned and the terminals cleaned, and they're reconnected. Let's see what happens. Let's see if that little relay was the ruin of our trip. And once the glow plugs are done... Wow. Nice and quick. Oh. I do love this truck, even though it angers me. And that's the fun with this stuff. The next morning, I hooked back up the trailer, put on the opposite color shirt and underpants as I did yesterday, and made my way out to New York to save another Caddy.
1 hour down, 5.5 more to go.
It's a beautiful time of the year to be making this trip, too. And as I made my way out past Western Massachusetts, the truck was feeling good. But the truck's troubled track record stays in the back of my mind. And 2.5 hours into the journey, as I made my way to the border of New York, something else about this truck piqued my curiosity.
I find it intriguing that I'm not even down to half a tank of fuel yet, and I just made it to the New York border. And I'm pulling the trailer. It's empty, but it seems like I usually get worse mileage than I am today. Interesting.
Oh well, I'm not gonna question it.
I love Leaf Springs.
About 3 hours in, very surprisingly, the truck wasn't the first to require fluids. I, the driver, needed to dispense of them. After my quick tinkle, we set off once again through beautiful eastern New York and the other Rome, where it got less beautiful. And a few hours later, the little blue piggy finally needed some nourishment.
That's pretty good. We did like 115, we did like 400 something, 450 miles or something. No, 370 miles, and I'm at a quarter of a tank, so. I don't like to let it drop below a quarter though, so.
As you can see, my math skills are the reason I buy old Cadillacs in faraway lands, and am not an accountant. 20 gallons and 20 pounds of Cheez-Its later, we inched ever closer. Hoping these wouldn't be the conditions, I'd be loading a dead Cadillac onto my trailer end. But as I got off my exit, the weather broke. A nice change. And what also changed was my perspective of what I thought New York was like.
Turn right on Paper Mill Road.
Wow, this is very much in the country. Oh boy. Look at this.
As I crossed the border into my destination town, I found myself on miles and miles of straight grid roads, cutting through vast rolling fields. It was breathtaking.
This is spectacular.
And as I pulled up to the address, I saw something even more magnificent.
There it is. Now, I don't have a lot of footage from this part because I had to physically load the car onto the trailer and put in all the parts. So basically what I did was unhook the trailer in his field. He put the engine block on a pallet, and we used his tractor to load the pallet into the back of the truck. Then I put the heads for the engine, the torque converter, and a bunch of other dirty parts into the bed of the truck. Then I attached the trailer to the truck once again. Then we pulled the caddy with the previous owner's truck and his son driving. Then I jackknifed my truck and trailer so that Paul could drive alongside while towing the caddy, and I could guide the caddy up onto the trailer. Somehow it worked. It worked great. It took a while, but it worked. All that matters is I didn't have to use another hand winch to load another dead 6,000-pound Cadillac onto my trailer. Whew! That was a lot of work. I'm sorry I couldn't film it. It was kind of, I had to be working. But the car is it's in really good shape for it. Sure it's got its stuff. Wow, as I almost hit this deer. Sure, it's got its problems, the stuff that it needs, including the motor, but it's pretty cool. It's dark now, so you can't really see it, but all right, now I got an hour 39-minute drive till I get to my buddy's house where I'm staying for the night. Beautiful. And what a setting to be buying this thing. This is unbelievable. I'm in the middle of nowhere in New York, and it's all farms. Surrounded by farms. As far as you can see. Unbelievable. Look at this thing. Oh.
Once out of the cornfields, I found some diesel at a truck stop, topped off the 7.3, and began the hour-and-a-half journey to my buddies to crash for a few hours and call it a day. The next morning, I woke up to a gloomy, moist day, checked my straps, and hit the highway for another 5-hour stint, fueled with only the healthiest of breakfasts. Fueled and motivated to show my dad his new Cadillac. And as the miles went down, so did my fuel. Or was it my driving style?
Listen to that. Oh, yeah. What a noise.
I stopped for what would be my last fuel up on the trip to lower my own water level and do more admiring of my cargo.
God, it's beautiful. Look at that thing. Oh my God. Well, if that ain't the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life, I don't know what is.
And a few hours and 100 miles later, the 7.3 and Caddy arrived back home.
Oh, dear heavens. Woo.
The 7.3 had done it, and had done phenomenal. Loaded for bear, it made the just shy of 900-mile journey, half of which was pulling about 9,000 pounds between the car, the trailer, the motor, the 2 spare truck tires, and the jack and all the tools I brought. But what I was most happy about was getting to show my dad his other new Cadillac.
Do you want to do a rerun of last time? I'll throw you the keys.
Wow, that front end's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
So this is all original then?
All original.
The old-fashioned security.
Yep. All original.
Wow. It's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Open that roof, see if there's, how the interior is. It dry?
No, there's a little water.
It's high in the front that doesn't have that big motor in it.
Yeah, but it's got the starter still in there, the fuel pump. He just disconnected the starter, left it there, disconnected the fuel pump, all that. It was pouring that night, and Dad had just gotten back from a 4-day stint at work, so that's why he seemed so short seeing the car. Next, I'll show you guys around the new Cadillac, and we'll get straight to work on the thing, because I want to get this thing running and driving so that Dad can take it on a drive at least once before it gets too cold. But thank you guys again so much for the support and for watching, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy motoring.